It's a challenging but very rewarding, occupation.
Yeah.
We do make blankets here for donor families.
You make blankets, you said?
Laura's got a volunteer group here, so we come here like once a month and we make blankets.
Oh my goodness.
What happens with the blanket is when my staff is in the room talking to a family and they say yes to donation, they are presented with this blanket. It does have the Donate Life logo patch on it. And when we are preparing their loved one for organ recovery, we cover the patient with the blanket. They are rolled down to the OR, and into the OR, we recover all of the appropriate organs. When we're done and we're ready to tell the family the outcome, we fold up the blanket again, we bring it out, we meet with the family, tell them the outcome, and present them with the blanket.
Oh my gosh.
Life gets tough, and I know it's hard to cope with the unknown. For all of us, I know it'd be easy if we were perfect, but we're not. So we go to find our faith, to find our hope. It all begins with looking up. It all begins with you. It's time to elevate. We sing it loud.
Welcome back to Time to Elevate podcast. I'm your host, Ann Lucenti. If you've been here with me before, you know I believe we travel this journey of life together. Sometimes life takes an unexpected turn, and some turns can be scary and very uncertain. Out of those moments, you can find renewed strength and a profound appreciation for life. Today, I have the privilege of interviewing 3 remarkable individuals whose lives intersected as a result of one of those unexpected turns. Let me tell you just a little bit about them before I introduce them. Dave Gray is a lifetime resident and native of East Greenbush, New York, where he and his wife, Cathy, built their own home. They have 2 children, Jodi and Matt, and 3 grandchildren, Jessie, Lucy, and Casey. He is an avid camper, fisherman, and hunter, and an enthusiastic hobbyist, raising bees, harvesting honey and maple syrup, canning jellies, jams, pickles, salsa, tomatoes, chili sauce, and making his own beer, wine, balsamic vinegar, horseradish, and lip balm. In 2015, he was struck by viral cardiomyopathy, which compromised his heart, and he was told he would need to be evaluated for heart transplant. Dave was accepted and placed on the Organ Recipient Registry on December 4, 2015, and received a left ventricular assist device, or LVAD, a surgically implanted mechanical heart pump, in March of 2016. On August 20th, 2016, after a year-long battle that included 177 days in the hospital, Dave received his life-saving gift of life, a new heart from a 30-year-old organ donor. Since that time, Dave has been a devoted organ and transplant advocate, raising awareness about the importance of organ and tissue donation, and supporting patients anxiously waiting for a transplant or who are going through the donation recipient process. Now focusing on his volunteer activities on organ and tissue donation and patient care, Dave is active throughout New York State, traveling to Westchester Medical Center, visiting patients and advocating for them on the Patient Family Council. He volunteers with the Center for Donation and Transplant, Live on New York, and Donate Life New York State, where he serves on the Donate Life New York State Advisory Council. Dave also serves on the Center for Donation and Transplant Advisory Board. Dave has been a guest on television and radio shows, sharing his personal story and raising awareness about the need for organ donation. He has organized multiple donor family and recipient meetings. Most memorable to date was introducing a donor mom to her daughter's heart recipient in 2022. Dave is truly a man with heart, committed to giving back for his gifts and ensuring others can receive the gift of life as well. During his heart transplant journey, Dave crossed paths with Laura Fissette. Laura Fissette is the Senior Hospital and Community Services Specialist at the Center for Donation and Transplant in Albany, New York, covering 30 counties. She leads public relations, marketing, community education, and fund development. Laura has been in the not-for-profit industry for more than 20 years. Her current position has been the most rewarding of her career. She proudly tells everyone at CDT, "We save and enhance lives every day. It doesn't get better than this." The Donate Life Legacy Walk is their largest event, bringing in close to 400 people. The event honors donor heroes who gave the gift of life. In attendance are donor families, recipients of these gifts, those who are still waiting for a life-saving transplant, and hospital and community partners. And finally, someone you might recognize, especially if you've listened to my previous episode, Lorenzo Beronilla. When I spoke with Lorenzo after his heart transplant, I inquired about his future plans, and he jokingly mentioned participating in a 5K. Well, they say be careful what you wish for, or perhaps it's true that if you ask, you shall receive. During his wait for his heart transplant at Westchester Medical Center, Lorenzo crossed paths with Dave. Now following his transplant, Lorenzo has been asked to be the MC at the Donate Life Legacy Walk this fall, where he will also join in by walking a 5K. I'm excited to introduce 3 incredible individuals who connected through life's unexpected twists: Dave Gray, Lisa Fissette, and Lorenzo Beronilla. Come on in. I almost cried a couple of times. It was very difficult.
I know. Well, I held back a few tears myself. Goodness. That's a book. That's a book, David.
All of you. I mean, I could have gone on and on, but I
Yes.
want you guys to really talk. But before we start talking, I do need to say, Dave, we are practically neighbors, so I need to come shopping at your house because I need some of that stuff you make, okay? Some beer, some wine, some honey, make me a care package. Be great.
I had no idea. I use lip balm. I used to drink beer. I have some honey with my tea, but goodness, I should just order it from you, Dave. Gosh.
You should. It's the best lip balm ever.
And
honestly.
the wine. Laura loves the wine.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to hold you
I
to
don't
it.
drink the wine. I give it to most of the nurses at the hospital, pretty much, and my doctors and stuff.
That's very.
Nice.
That's why they have a smile on their face when they come in the morning.
I might drink once.
Was it because they saw
I'll
me?
have a glass once in a while, or here. Actually, there's an open bottle of wine since New Year's in the refrigerator.
What, Dave? What?
Goodness.
No, I need to move closer so I can just take that off your hands. That is wonderful.
Funny.
Well, I want to definitely start because you each have such great things to talk about and how you're connected. First, I want to see what's your shirts over there, Dave and Laura. What do they say? Is it
our Donate Life walk shirt?
Wonderful. They're going, and we're going to talk about that too, about the whole details of that. After we talk about you guys individually. And I have a appropriate life is a wild ride, so bring friends. Since you guys are, we're all here connected in different ways. It's important to have people with you, right? So
I love that. It's great.
So let's start with you, Dave. Let's start just talk about your journey and things that came up along the way.
It was a long journey. I mean, you can start it off this way. The last day of work I missed was November 4th, 1990, until June 1st, 2015.
Wow.
I went to work every single day. And, it got to the point where I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk 50 feet. I couldn't go to the mailbox. I couldn't cross the work parking lot. I was treated for pneumonia all summer long. And I was very surprised in August when they told me that I should go down to Mount Sinai in New York City and be evaluated for a heart transplant. I still can't believe it today.
Wow.
7 years and 10 months later, I can't believe I went through this process.
Oh my gosh.
So I had plenty of time to go home and get ready for the journey. And then I decided to go to Westchester Medical, and I met Dr. Agarwal, and she told me to go home, and prep my family. I was going to be moving into the hospital for 4 to 7 months.
Wow. Probably
at the minimum, before the rules changed. The rules changed in 2018. Prior to that, pretty much there was 11 of us waiting in the hospital at that time. Mm-hmm. So if you're on a balloon pump, I was on a balloon pump 77 days. Okay. If you're on a balloon pump today for 21 days, that's a long time.
Really? Wow.
You'll go into transplant at that point in time. Mm-hmm. It was tough. She called me on Monday, I think November 26th, and Dr. Agarwal said it was time for you to move into the hospital. Every Monday I was going to the doctors and getting a push of Lasix to get the fluid taken off of me. And I asked her if I could stay home for Thanksgiving. So I went in the day after Thanksgiving. 2 weeks later, I got my first heart call. December 15th, 12:30 at night. They came in and took 23 tubes of blood out of me.
Oh, my God.
I didn't know what it was for. They said the doctors wanted more tests. I was still too green to the process. They come back at 4:30, took 4 more tubes of blood. Usually we went out and walked the halls at 5 o'clock in the morning. We'd push our IV poles, 2 or 3 of us, my walking partners, before the halls got crowded with doctors and nurses. And the nurse says to me, "You probably shouldn't be out here. You probably shouldn't be out in the hallway. You should be in your room," Lori says. So now I'm thinking something's going on. So it wasn't until 6:30 that Maureen Raffa came to my room and said, "Today's your lucky day. You're getting your heart."
Oh, my gosh. I get chills.
That was get all excited about it. So I called all my relatives. They came from New Jersey, Connecticut, upstate New York. 10:30, Dr. Agawal comes in and says, the pressures are all good in the heart. It's a go. I go my surgery was still on for the afternoon. So I go at 3:30, 3:20 in the afternoon, actually, to get prepped for surgery. And when Dr. Malikan recovered the heart and told me it was calcified, told us it was calcified, it was no good.
Oh, my gosh.
Talk about a letdown. That was the longest and the worst day of my life.
Oh, my gosh.
I didn't get another call for 9 months later.
Oh, my goodness.
So I was doing okay. That was December 15th. And we have the Swans catheter that you have in the hospital. They take it out every 21 days so you can get a shower. Mm-hmm. They took it out on December the 21st. They couldn't put it back in, so I got my shower. They put it back in on my birthday, December 22nd. I made it till the day after Christmas. I told my wife and daughter they should leave. I told them to stay home for Christmas because Jesse was born. It was his birthday. He's born on Christmas. So stay home and celebrate his birthday. And they came down on the 26th. Well, I told them I wasn't feeling good in the afternoon, which I wasn't. And my wife didn't like driving in the dark, so they left like 3 o'clock. And I got pulmonary flash edema at 5:30. So I crashed. I woke up 5 days later on a ventilator. Didn't even know what happened or where I was at that point in time. It was a long, long road. And I did well. I was on a balloon pump at that time. It went through again. I made it till February 25th. I was doing okay. I was in CCU room 8 for 77 days on a balloon pump. Now, and like you say, the rules changed in October of 18 that you're not on a balloon pump. You're higher up on the list nowadays is how that works.
Okay.
The government guidelines changed. Mm-hmm. February 25th, the balloon pump failed. And I went in for surgery to correct that. And I come out on an ECMO machine. Now I was on an ECMO machine from February 25th through March 4th. My ejection fractions got down to 4%. And they highly unluckily, I wasn't going to survive the surgery at that time.
And what is an ECMO machine? What is that?
That's a heart-lung bypass machine.
Okay.
So I lived on that, to keep me oxygenated and keep me going. And I went in for the LVAD surgery, not really knowing if I was going to come out of that or not. And I did. I wound up coming out of it. I went into rehab. I went home April 8th. I started riding my bicycle. I started riding my bike a mile a day on my stationary bike. By mid-July, I got up to 8 to 10 miles a day on my stationary bike, which allowed me to fly to Florida to walk my daughter down the aisle.
Oh, my gosh. And
the company I worked for, Owens Corning, they agreed to make a private jet available if I got the heart call to fly from Naples back to Westchester, because there was only 3 commercial flights at the time. Oh. So I didn't need it. So I wound up getting home like July 15th or 16th. And then Dr. Agawal called me on Tuesday, August 16th, and says, we want to use some of your A time. See, they don't, now it's like categories 1 through 6. Before it was 1 and 2. So I had A time and B time. The A time moves you to the top of the list. So I had 143 days of A time. And she said, you can use it by the hour, by the day, by the week, to see where you stand on the transplant list. Okay. And she called and said they did 2 A blood type heart transplants in the month of July. So, and I was already pretty high up on the list. So she moved me up to A, number 1, on Tuesday, and I got called at 6:40 p.m. on August 19th. And when Christina called me, I knew it was for a heart. All afternoon I was texting them because I was making pickles and chili sauce, and I wanted to know my appointment was on August 22nd, Monday.
He's like, let me time it. Hold on. I'm making pickles. I can't come. Not yet.
He was taking orders.
That was in the afternoon taking orders. So, because at this point in time, I haven't had a shower since December 21st.
Oh, wow.
So I was excited to go Monday, August 22nd, because I was going to get my LVAD shower bag.
Oh, I love it.
So Christina emails me back or texts me back and says, well, Dr. Agawal and I will both take spicy pickles and chili sauce. Needless to say, they didn't get it at that point in time, because that last was at 3:15 in the afternoon. And Christina called me at 6:40 p.m. for my heart.
Wow.
And said, how soon can you be to the hospital?
Oh, my God.
So then that time, I proceeded. I texted 22 of my nurses when I was driving down to Taconic, because, now everything, all your emotions are there, whether survivor's guilt, somebody's dying for me to live. But 14 of those nurses came and spent most of the night with me upstairs in room 7 with me and my family. Because I made a lot of good friends down there when I was there.
Wow. So
it was a heck of a journey. And I walked out of that hospital 34 days later. because that was the second time I was on the ECMO machine and my groin wouldn't stop. I was leaking lymphatic fluid,
Okay.
which they had a packet, and I had to get a portable, I can't think of the name of it, but a suction unit to go home with.
Mm-hmm.
So I still didn't get a shower for a full year
Oh,
till
my
Christmas week of
goodness.
2016 before I got my full shower. And I told them when I left there, on some of the pictures I got, if you ever see my book, I told them I would never come back there again. I spent 177 days here, but that wasn't true.
As a patient.
As a patient.
As a patient.
That's what I meant.
Be
And
specific.
I started going back there in October.
Wow.
I only missed 6 weeks from October to February 18th, 2020,
Oh my gosh.
just for vacations. And then we started the heart transplant support group with Westchester. They took that over now, and I started my rock painting group. And I still held to my word. I still haven't gone back to the hospital except for my
Oh my gosh.
right heart cath and my left heart caths.
David, can I ask real quick? So why is it that you do go back to the hospital now? If you could just say why do you return to the hospital
Because
now?
nobody told me, nobody explained the journey to me. One patient stopped in. His name was Lou from Connecticut. I learned more from that guy in 5 minutes than I did from any doctor or nurse or anybody in there. So pretty much at that time, when I was in CCU, room 8, I was on the balloon pump. I pretty much decided at that time I was never going to work again, and I was just going to live to pay it forward and come and visit folks. So I took all my pictures and I threw them. I think I showed you the book. Didn't I show you the book, Lorenzo? Yeah,
yes, sir.
So I threw all the pictures in a book, and that's what I show to the patients and families. It doesn't have all the pictures in there, like when I was on ventilators and all that stuff, but it has a lot. And I always tell people, you got to smile on your journey. It's not the nurses or doctor's fault you're sick. You can't be mean to them.
Right.
I just try to help people out as much as I can, and I talk to folks all the time.
So you started this whole support group. This came from you saying this is what I want to do. Is that how it started?
Pretty much for my individual, yeah.
Yeah, from you. This was your idea.
Patients come with me, yeah.
Okay.
Then I started the Zoom because we no longer could go to.
Yeah. So say that. What happened? How did that
groups.
happen? That was during COVID, right?
Yeah, right after COVID went in March, I said, well, all of us like to get together.
Right.
The Westchester patients, we love going to the support group meeting and talking because we all got the same doctors and nurses and drugs pretty much, just different journeys and paths of how we got there.
Right.
So.
Can I add something?
Go ahead.
But they also were taking Dave around on a cart on an iPad to patients who were in Westchester.
Oh, that's right, too, during COVID.
You're kidding.
The nurses
They'd be like, this is Dave Gray.
Yeah,
I was going to ask, how are the patients seeing you? Oh, my gosh, you're kidding me. So they were, oh, my gosh.
So my nurses they were on the 7th floor at the time. Now they're on the 4th.
Oh, they were taking you via iPad.
Yeah,
And they would
my
leave
question
me
was,
leave me in the room, and then when we were done, the patient would call and have me get the cart. Come take the cart.
come get
back.
Dave. Come get Dave. He's done.
That is great. That is great.
Quite a few people during that journey that way.
Oh, my.
There's some people I've never met face to face yet,
Wow.
but I've talked to them quite regularly.
Right.
Wow.
And you return every week, correct?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, my. And this is. And the ride
Every
from
week.
you to you just go to Westchester mainly? Is that your main, right?
Yeah,
How,
like 2:15, 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours every week you do this. And I know you love it. And this is a passion.
I spend my 10 hours. I'll spend 8, 10, 12, whatever patients are there.
Oh, my.
And I drive back home.
Oh, my gosh, Dave. I
wound up being a patient advocate because the only thing we have control over in the hospital is our food. And I could never get the food I wanted to eat. There was one time, I ordered a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I got the peanut butter for breakfast. I got the jelly for lunch, and I didn't get the bread for. It took me 8 p.m.
I'm sorry, we shouldn't laugh.
8 p.m. So then, me being, I lived on a computer and emails. I started emailing all the administration up to Michael Israel, the CEO of the hospital.
Great.
Every time my breakfast, lunch, and dinner was wrong, he got a picture and he got.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
He sent 5 executive directors to my room, and they couldn't believe the amount of ruckus I caused living on a balloon pump in CCU. That I'm the only patient for the time that I was there that got served at 7, 12, and 5 o'clock every day. I had the managers of the cafeteria's home phone numbers and cell phones.
Perfect.
And I used to call them at 9 p.m. at night at home and ask them what's for breakfast. And they said, you got to be kidding me. Nobody took your order again? I'd say, nope. Nobody came again. So then I wound up being a patient advocate for the heart transplant recipients down there.
I love
which
this.
Is pretty cool.
This is
It's very cool. It's more than cool, actually. It's important.
It's very important. So how did you meet? Tell me how you met then, Laura. How did you guys get connected?
So I came on board in September of 2018, and Dave had been trying to work with my predecessor and just wasn't successful for whatever reason. And then I heard about him. We ended up connecting, and you had been trying for months.
A year. It was almost a year, 10 months or whatever. It was quite a while.
And we just hit it off right away. And I just started dragging him around to any public speaking engagement I had, and TV, radio, high schools, nursing students,
colleges, communication classes, wherever we go.
He started calling me his agent.
Yeah, she's my agent.
I love it. Well, tell me what you do. Tell me about where you work and what you do, Laura.
I work for the Center for Donation and Transplant. It's one of the 4 organ procurement organizations in New York State. And I do mainly public relations, marketing, community education, and fund development. So I wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
It's a challenging but very rewarding, occupation.
Yeah.
I meet a lot of people like Dave, a lot of recipients who are just incredibly grateful and so, willing to give back and give their time volunteering. And then I also work with donor families whose family members were donors, so sometimes it can be a difficult job, the work that we do here at CDT, but most of all, it's rewarding.
Yeah. And what a blessing to have you during that time, that difficult time for them, because you seem, your I don't want to say aura, but you know what I mean? You're feeling like so comfortable just talking with you on here. I can just imagine what a comfort you are to people,
Yeah, thank you.
So, so then you guys met, and feel free to, if you think of something else you want to talk about where you're working or anything you want to talk, just throw it on in. But I'm going to move now.
We do have another one. We do make blankets here for donor families.
You make blankets, you said?
Yeah. So I got a group Laura's got a volunteer group here. So I started getting all the Westchester heart transplants together. So we'll get anywhere from 8 to 12 of them folks, and we come here like once a month, and we make blankets.
Oh my goodness.
That are given to donor families to put on the donor's bed when they're in the hospital.
What happens with the blanket is when my staff is in the room talking to a family and they say yes to donation, they are presented with this blanket. It does have the Donate Life logo patch on it. And when we are preparing their loved one for organ recovery, we cover the patient with the blanket. They are rolled down to the OR and into the OR. We recover all of the appropriate organs. When we're done and we're ready to tell the family the outcome, we fold up the blanket again. We bring it out. We meet with the family, tell them the outcome, and present them with the blanket.
Oh my gosh.
And
no, I know.
I'm getting lost.
I'm right there with you, Lorenzo. Okay. I'm trying not to.
I've been doing this for 6 years. I still cry. But...
Wow.
And for the families, it's incredibly symbolic. It is the last thing that's been with their loved one.
Wow.
So, and it's hard because we've keep growing over the years, which is a good thing. But the blanket program is something we just can't keep up with, but we just can't get rid of it either. So we try very hard. We supplement it with some pre-purchased blankets, but ideally our goal is that every donor family does get a handmade blanket from our volunteers.
Oh my gosh, that I have like no words right now. I'm blown away by this.
I've actually seen videos of this, or not necessarily with the blanket, but I've seen where the donor family, the honor walk. It is something else.
I have seen those. Yes, the honor walk. I haven't. Just the blanket. I know, just the blanket alone. Oh my gosh. So emotions are good though, because this is like an amazing program. And I said this to you when we were doing a sound check. I was like, I don't know a lot about it. Yes, I consider myself, I want to be an organ donor, but how do you, what are the important things to do to say that? Like I said to you, I think it's on my license. Like I think it's on my license. Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't really think about it. So what do you want to talk about that? Like what you want to say about that?
The most important thing you can do is let your family know what your wishes are. because at the end of the day, it's great that you are registered. And yes, we do want people to be registered, but typically it's a tragedy that has occurred and it's the worst day of your loved one's life. And just because you are a registered organ donor doesn't mean we just automatically proceed with donation. There's a conversation with the legal next of kin, whomever that is, right, or healthcare proxy, whichever is in place, where they have to sign, and it's quite a bit of paperwork. It's called authorization papers. So there have been some instances where families are shocked when we are telling them your loved one is a registered donor if they've never had that conversation. Right. So really, and the conversation is really what matters. You don't have to be registered for a family to authorize for you to be a donor. Okay. So as long as you know what your family's wishes are, they know what your wishes are, that's what makes it, the process much easier.
Right. But and as you said, Anne, it is as easy as just putting on your license and checking it off. Yes. But you do have to think of the future of what happens when it does happen. You have a responsibility to your family. I'm a mess.
And that's
sorry.
Yeah. And understandably so. Really, understandably so. There's also,
I'll get through it, I promise.
This is emotional. Sheesh. It is, Oh my goodness. I'm not even gonna edit out any sniffles, guys. Whoever's listening to this now, we're just sniffling through the whole thing. I'm not going through and taking those out. I keep sniffling. I just wanted to ask you, because I was thinking a little bit about that too. There are also living donors. Can you explain what that is? Like, I've heard that.
Sure. So living donation is giving the gift of organ donation while you're still alive. And it's possible for a portion of your liver. You can donate 60% of your liver. You keep 40. The liver is incredible. It is the only organ that regenerates itself, and it can regenerate within 3 months.
Wow.
And then it's expected to be fully functional within a year.
Oh my goodness.
And then you can also donate a kidney.
Wow.
So, and it's become very popular. There's 3 different types. There's a pairing donation, which is when there's a list that you can get on when you're on the kidney transplant list. Say you offered to donate to one of your friends, you went through the testing and you weren't a match for them. You get on this pairing list because you're still willing to donate your kidney. And there could be somebody else that's in the same scenario, but you could be a match for that person, and that person's donor could be a match for you. And then they pair them together.
Wow.
And
that is wonderful. I actually have seen that covered on television, and within the past month and a half, I've actually even told a friend of mine about it because his relative is in search for, needs a kidney. They were shocked about it. But what's interesting is when you're on that pairing list, it's almost getting hiked up to a better chance for transplant. Absolutely. As well. Instead of, us, Dave, being the more ill you are, this is a different situation where if you're pairing and you are donating to someone else, you're not a match, you are able to donate to somebody else, you'll have a better chance to receive for whomever you're donating
And typically people waiting for a kidney transplant wait an average of 5 years. Oh, wow. And that's not crazy. A healthy way to live. No. Being on dialysis, you're sick, you're tired all the time. And sadly, 80% of people waiting for an organ right now are waiting for a kidney. And we lose many of them every day because they never get their organ in time.
Oh my goodness.
Is it true that the kidneys are actually the hardest or the most difficult to get a transplant for? Or
no, it's just the numbers is so great. And there's just not enough available organs.
I see.
Wow.
I see how Laura mentioned the waiting times down to 5+ years now. It used to be 7 and 8 years.
Really?
You know what's brought that down?
What is
Social media. People creating pages. I need a kidney.
Yes.
Get shared all over Instagram and Facebook. That's what's driving that number down.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
The power of the interwebs,
it's
I'm
true.
telling you. Really.
I wish we could actually measure it, because that's some really great things that social media has done for people. It has saved countless lives. And I wish there was a way to measure it, because we all too often hear, and there is a lot of negative impacts of social media, but when it comes to living donation, it's been extremely successful.
Right. Right. And you mentioned something about, do you have like statistics of something? Did you want to share that now or no, Laura?
Yes, I'd love to. So again, donation is something we don't really talk about, it seems like, until you're affected by it. But the truth is, here in New York State, we're in a pretty bad position. I mean, if you guys were to guess, well, Lorenzo might know this, but Anne, if you were to guess where New York State ranks out of 50 states, number one being the highest state with the most eligible people that are registered, and 50 being dead last, where do you think New York State falls?
I'm afraid now. I'm hoping we're not dead last, but are we close to the bottom?
Yes.
We are?
We were 50 until maybe, is it almost 2 years
ago? It's almost 2 years now. We passed New Jersey.
Where are we?
2 years ago.
And we're 49
now.
We're hoping to pass Mississippi, I think, later this year.
Why? Why is that? Is it just not knowing?
It's a few different things. When you look at our state as a whole, if you look at upstate versus downstate, downstate, not a lot of people drive. You know, they take mass transportation. And when I used to live in New York City, you would go to the DMV and get what's called a non-driver ID, but you weren't being asked if you want to be an organ donor. Only registered drivers were being asked that question. But new legislation went into place. I'm going to let Dave talk about this because he's the legislation expert.
Yeah, we have a young girl, lives downstate, somewhere in Rockland County. Her name is Lauren Shields. She got a heart transplant at 9 years old at Columbia Presbyterian. When she was in high school, she was in that government affairs class, and Senator Carlucci drew up a bill that him and Lauren put together, and they brought her to Albany to lobby the Senate and Assembly and share her story. She wanted each and every one of us to answer that question: do you want to be an organ donor on your driver's license? Because you never had to answer that question before. You could leave it blank. That law went into effect February 14th, 2017. So New York State was registered at 23% per capita at that point in time. Now we're at like 46.8% 7 years later. Wow. And you renew your license over the 8-year cycle. So we're still on the upswing of this right now. And along with that legislation, 16 and 17-year-olds are eligible to register, and their parent or guardian has the final say until they're 18.
Okay. Yeah.
Therefore, that's why we push to try to get into all the high schools we can get into to give the education to these young folks so they have the answers, so they can answer the question for themselves.
Yeah.
And the other part of that is lack of education.
What was that?
There's a lack of education.
Right.
And especially when you look at the diverse population that is mostly in the boroughs in New York City. But with that diversity sometimes also comes a mistrust in healthcare.
Right.
And there's still a lot of stigma and misinformation out there about organ donation. So we're doing our best to try to educate the public and get the word out.
I think we do.
How often do you get to go to the younger folks, to the high schools, is that as young as you'll go to the high school? It's usually go to colleges.
Well, we recently started exploring middle school classes because we found that often when we're in the high schools, we're too late. And
I agree.
It was kind of a fluke. Dave's neighbor was like, "Oh, come to my middle school." And I was like, wow, they're so young. But we did, and they were incredibly receptive, not afraid to ask questions. I think when you look at the high schoolers, are all like very concerned about, and I think some of them have questions that they just don't want to ask. They're not as participatory in our presentation.
Right.
So we started just this year going to a couple more middle schools, and we're going to start trying to focus on that.
That's great.
Then we get to
with anything. I think if you're teaching any children of a certain age, middle school is always receptive for anything because they actually They are so bold.
They are.
They're so bold, and they go home and tell their parents what they just learned. So it's actually, they are literally the best vehicles to get the word out. I understand the high school, you're learning about yourself. You don't want to act or sound like it. You're asking too many questions.
Right.
You're actually worried about other things, but they are concerned. That's why I always say, if you're going to talk to high school students, we're on the age of social media, as you said. If you want to measure, we can't necessarily, or maybe there are people who measure it. I'm sure they do. I'm sure the government somehow measures this. But the high school, with anything, I used to be a marketing person. And anytime we were marketing to high school students, we would try to find their generation to market to them, especially with now that you were in the world of TikTok, Facebook, all this social media, threads, etc. If you find someone who went viral, where someone is their age, they don't necessarily have to have had a donor situation where they were a transplant person or survivor or recipient. But I tell you, there are some people out there in TikTok and Facebook, if you dig a little bit, they are related to somebody who has had this situation in their family history. That is what should be. That is how you should approach things. Sorry, I'm just Mr. Marketing.
This is good too. Yeah,
no, I agree with you. I think peer-to-peer at that age is extremely important. And we worked with a teacher this spring who was fairly new to the district that we've been at for years. And he decided, he had torn up pieces of paper, and he said to each group, I need you to write down 3 questions. And then we collected them so that nobody knew who wrote what. And then we realized we're going to adopt that because it was much more engaging. They did write down questions. So we're like, oh, we're doing this from now on.
Yes, I like that idea. That's wonderful.
That's very true. You get shy. You get more shy as you get older. You think you would get bolder, but it's the reverse.
Peer pressure, I think. Peer pressure, it gets worse as you get older. In the high school.
But I love that. I love that, reaching out to teachers, not only for that question. That's a great way of doing it without anybody being pinpointed. But the teachers are aware. They're with the kids all day. They are aware who they're watching on social media. If they knew that bracket, or that person is a comedian, that person is a food blogger, that person is a fashion person, or that one is just a funny person, and kind of match that to someone coming in to talk to them, you've got yourself a whole marketing campaign.
Yeah. I like that idea. I want to ask too now. Okay, so the next step is, Dave, you met Lorenzo. This is connecting you guys. Okay, so you guys are connected. We got that. Now, Lorenzo, how does he come into the picture? Who wants to talk about that? Dave first, Lorenzo, whoever, the two of you.
I'll say it real quick. Well, the way it happened with me is I just kept hearing Dave's name. Everybody that was walking into every nurse would somehow say, have you met Dave Gray yet? David Gray. Within the time frame I was in the hospital, it's not like I was asking, but I was asking questions that they probably couldn't answer. And it's interesting. You can't really feel, although they're wonderful people and they're treating you as a patient, and they're so lovely at Westchester, they actually treat you as a person more so than a patient, but they can't really answer the questions of how we feel about what's happening. They just know it's what they've seen. They know how they're trained. It's up to them how their bedside manner is. But until you actually go through the situation, you cannot be a comrade in arms with this. You can't understand what we're going through. So for someone to say, Dave's here every Tuesday, I said, he's here every Tuesday. Why is he here every Tuesday? Why? And they said, well, he comes in and talks to people who are going through it. And I said, that's really, really nice. I'd love to talk to him. They were handing me his card. Everybody had his card. I had 8 cards before I met him. I said, I've got it, but thank you. But I let them give it to me. And I was like, wow, I'm looking forward to talking to this guy. And my schedule was always off, where I was having something done, or an X-ray or echo. And finally, I met Dave, and just see, Sorry. Just to have somebody else who went through it just look at you and just go, I think your first words were, "You'll be okay." I mean, it was just so a matter of fact. It was just. You talk, Dave.
I remember knocking on the door, though. I'm walking in his room, and he says to me, "You're Dave."
Yeah, I was hoping it was Panera, but
it wasn't Panera, though. No, but it is. People really need to see people. I mean, I went through a real hard journey, and there is life after that. So you got to live life every day. And this is what I do. I volunteer full time, and you can't sweat the small things in life, like I always say. No. That's one of the things I always say. You just got to keep on going, pushing forward. The nurses become family. The nurses and doctors become our family when we spend so much time there. You know, I had nurses wash my clothes, make me dinners, make me meals. You know, I still hang out with some of these folks outside of the hospital now today. They even come to blanket making. They come to blanket making. They'll drive upstate and hang out with us.
Oh my gosh.
Because that's a real it's a fun day to listen to everybody's stories. Everybody's laughing and giggling. Fun. And some people are on TAC row. They're on 10 milligrams in the morning, 10 at night. Some are on 5 and 5. Some are on 1 and 1. So some people.
Tacro is one of our immunosuppressant medications that we take.
We take that all the time to keep our heart at bay.
Okay. And is
it's a fun journey.
But
that's another thing is like our heart's in rejection every day for the rest of our lives.
Oh, I was just going to ask that question. Is rejection. That okay?
If we don't take these anti-rejection drugs, 3 days later we'll probably be in ICU on a ventilator. It won't take long.
Okay. So it's a lifetime.
It's a lifetime thing. I've lost many of friends over the last 7 years. I mean, I've been on so many journeys. I've been on over 227 transplant journeys of people I've met that got hearts and kidneys.
Wow. You know, tell me about the walk then. I want to hear about this walk because it's called the Donate Life Legacy Walk, which sounds amazing. Tell me everything, how it started, what it's about. Whoever wants to talk, you can all chip in.
It started a family who no longer does it, started it about maybe 12 years now. And we took it over as a walk run by the Center for Donation and Transplant in 2018 because they no longer wanted to do it. And it was really a 5K at that point. And I had just been hired too, and I come from a long history of fund development in the nonprofit world. So I, did a lot of work to change it, rebrand it. We named it. Well, Dave helped me name it the Donate Life Legacy Walk, actually.
Right.
And really the focus shifted to not just a 5K, but a family and community event where we really honored our donor heroes, where more it was kind of singular and family based. And we reached out to all of our past donor families, volunteers who are recipients, and made it more of honoring all of our donor heroes, all of the donor families, all of the recipients, and all of those people who are still waiting for that life-saving transplant. And then we included our hospital partners. We have amazing hospital partners that continue to outshine us every year. I mean, we just keep growing at a 23% every year, developing these relationships with our hospital partners. And it just keeps growing. COVID put a little monkey wrench in it for a couple of years. So last year, I think it was back to its true potential, and it's going to continue to grow each year. As far as in 2023, we saved 253 people's lives through organ donation.
Wow.
And enhanced over 500 people's lives through tissue donation.
Oh my gosh.
So that is a huge scope, as you can imagine. And then you think about all of their loved ones, their friends, their family. So it's become a great event. And every year we keep adding something new. And this year we added Lorenzo as our MC.
So let's mention that.
I want you to know, Lorenzo, I'm like, I have to get him a stage.
Lorenzo needs a stage.
It was so terrible.
It was terrible.
Dangerous. Somebody's going to die on this thing. So
So tell me.
It's a lot of fun, and it can be emotional. There's families that all come together from different parts of the state, even different states. They make T-shirts with their loved one's picture on it.
Wow.
We also have a station where you can decorate your shirt with, for your loved one. And since COVID, we have kept our registration to also be virtual just to see. And we still have a good amount of people. You could have family who live in Florida and can't come, but they feel like they want to be a part of the event.
Yeah.
And so they register as a virtual participant. We send them a T-shirt. So it really is one of our best and our biggest events.
Wow, that's so great. And virtually, do they like if they want to do their walk on their end or something, or just participate in whatever's happening? So do you stream it or something, or how do they?
We don't. Okay. They can just walk on their own and they receive a T-shirt and they get all the updates. They can see the website with all the Why I Walk stories and Gift of Life stories and things like that.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And the donor families, I know part of what was in your bio too is that both of you actually sometimes you coordinate the donor families meeting the recipients. Does that happen often, or is that something that is rare that people want to do that?
Sadly, only about 3% of people actually meet their donor heroes recipients. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. There used to be a lot of red tape behind how that process goes. It's health protected information. But we are in the process. We have been for the last couple of years trying to streamline that process and make it easier. But Dave has been very instrumental in helping me to facilitate some of these meetings. And the one that we both, I think, mentioned, I'll let you talk about that.
There was this heart transplant recipient and an LVAD, she was, Brandy Vanderstrand. I met her in Westchester. So I visited her all the time. She's from way upstate New York. I was there when her donor mom sent her a letter and read the letter to her. And she's not very computer savvy or any of that. So I went out and her mother sent the prayer card from the funeral home. So that was a given. It was easy to find out who they were and where they were from. So I went to the girls' Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I downloaded all her pictures and I made her a little video of it all. So Brandy knew who she was. Her name was Anya. She was 22 years old from Maine, from up in Kennebunkport, Maine. And I kept bugging Brandy to write a thank you letter because now Catherine, who's pretty much my best friend now, the donor's mother, I get along really well with now. And she wrote her 2 letters and Brandy still hasn't answered back. She just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I used to call her and try to just tell her to go to Walgreens or somewhere and buy a card and just write thank you on it. That's all. Because she was a 30-year-old female or 33 years old with 3 kids. And she was just forever grateful.
Wow.
So she finally asked me if I would do it. So when I always, in the May and September, I used to go to Wells Beach, Maine. So I went and I found Catherine. She wasn't on no social media, but she was on LinkedIn. So I found their company business. And I drove around the block a couple times, and I finally saw 2 cars in the parking lot with Anya's picture on the back of the window. So I knew I had the right family.
Oh.
So then I went back home, and I told Brandy I found them. I know who they are or where they are. And then she asked me if I would send them a card. So I sent her an email through LinkedIn, and she said, Mother can only hope that you're contacting me because you're from New York, and I see your donor picture on your LinkedIn account that you know something about my daughter's recipient. And I said, I do.
Wow.
So then I went back up in September and I set up a video conference with myself and Brandy and Catherine. Catherine and I went and got hot dogs at a hot dog stand and I got Brandy on video. And then that summer, Laura and I set up a meeting up in Springfield, Massachusetts at the Elks Club, I think it was. And the rest is history.
Dave had this great idea. He got a video recording of Brandy's heart in Echo.
Oh,
wow.
Dr. Levine got it for me.
Oh, my goodness.
Nice.
I went to Build-A-Bear and put it in a bear.
Oh, my God.
Talk about crying.
Guys.
Oh, my
There
goodness.
was not a dry eye. And Katrine held on to that bear. You would have thought I gave her a brick of gold. It was
It was phenomenal.
And then watching her Yeah, we brought a stethoscope so she could hear Brandy's
gosh.
heart, which was her daughter's heart.
And then Brandy went up last summer on the strange thing with it all, Brandy got her heart on September 22nd, which was the day of our walk.
Oh, that's right.
I got the call at the walk from Brandy. She was getting her heart.
Oh, wow.
Anya was pronounced dead on September the 20th.
Oh.
That's Brandy's birthday. And Brandy got her heart on the 22nd.
Oh, my goodness.
So Brandy went and spent the 5-year anniversary last year with Katrin up in Maine. She stayed at her house for the week. I mean, Katrin loves her to death. So
she does.
Oh, my goodness.
And her daughter, Anya's sister, is a doctor up in Portland, Maine. She's just finishing her residency up.
Wow. This is amazing. It's
a nice story. And then she's got a memorial.
It's a beautiful story.
In Old Orchard Beach, Maine, there's a bench on the beach outside the bar where she was attending bar when she was going to college. Mm-hmm. And they got a big memorial out there for her, and they always decorate it and they do stuff. I leave my painted rocks there when I go up there. Go there for dinner and leave my painted rocks up.
Yes, I want to ask you about that. But before I ask you, tell us when the next event is. Tell us the date, where it is, how to get there or be involved or do whatever.
So
Monday.
The walk?
The walk or
the next walk is
the walk. Yes, the walk.
September 14th. It's a Saturday. It is in Saratoga Springs at the Saratoga State Park. Registration starts at 10 a.m. and the walk starts at noon.
Okay.
And if you'd like to register, you just have to go to donatelifelegacywalk.com. And again, you can register as an in-person or as a virtual participant.
Wonderful. And I'm going to post all these links in the show notes as well so people could have it. And
as you said, Anne, when we were talking at a different podcast, I was just saying, I'll have a life goal, perhaps, maybe walk a 5K.
You said run, but we're not going to do that.
Well, let's not get crazy.
Small steps,
I'm working
Lorenzo.
on it. But that's whenever I text Dave. I said, is there any runs, walks, anything that you know of in the area? And he tells me about the Donate Life Legacy Walk. And I said, oh, okay. So I looked it up. And,
can't believe it.
Shared my story with you, Laura. And Laura contacted me and liked my story. I didn't make it up. Unfortunately, it's just my story. But I've been asked to, I've been asked to MC the event, which is exciting. Now I can't back out. I have to keep exercising. No, I'm just joking.
Yes, we have it.
Right. You got it on film. Oh, goodness. And it's an email chain. Oh, darn it. Oh, gosh. But no, I'm very honored and I'm excited. And it is so touching. See, I'm going to get... I don't know if you want me as ceremony because every time I speak, I just waterworks because it's so important. But it's so lovely. I'm very, very excited. That's part of why we're talking about it today. I hope a lot of people get involved virtually as well as participate. We have tons of friends up here, Anne and I, at least, that we know of just from what we did as a living. I mean, acting for years. We have tons of actor friends, and they have, of course, family in this area. It's easy for them to get to Saratoga, but we'll expand it to other regions, of course, and ask them to come in. But it's a wonderful event. I read all about it. I'm very excited. And thank you very much for asking me. I was so shocked. I said, are you sure?
Bring that hashtag, though, for the hard on for Lorenzo. All your friends got to bring that.
Oh, goodness. I'll make a shirt. I'll make a shirt when I'm there. Goodness me. Oh, and not on a lighter note, not only does Dave make lip balm, beer, and wine, he's also a private detective. I mean, listening to that story, holy moly. Wow. Sheesh. Amazing. Very good.
You want to get in the cost of transplant?
Go ahead.
The cost of transplant.
Oh, yes, that's very interesting.
I had insurance. It did not cost me one penny.
Thank God. What would it have cost?
143 days I was in the hospital cost $6.2 million up to the LVAD.
Wow.
The LVAD was $220,000 alone.
Oh my God.
When I got my heart, it was $3.1 million. That breaks down to $50,000 for the helicopter, $90,000 for each surgeon. United Network for Organ Sharing, UNOS, they get $220,000.
Wow.
Live on New York, the OPO gets $125,000, and the rest was my CTCU time for the 34 days.
Wow.
And isn't the care inside the in hospital care and also the medication is also included? Yep. Mm-hmm. It is a staggering number. A staggering number.
And one thing we didn't get to talk about, we spoke a little bit about statistics in New York State, is so we are 49, sadly, out of 50 states, but we also have the third highest need in the country for life-saving organs. So sadly, we lose about 500 New Yorkers every year. And right now we know there's about 8,500 New Yorkers waiting for life-saving transplant, and 2,000 of them are children. So it's men, women, and children who are in need of a life-saving organ.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Not to be a Debbie Downer, but reality.
No. That's why it's important to have people like yourselves, advocates like yourselves. Being on Facebook, and I was kind of thrown into a transplant survivor group. And I don't actually participate, or I don't talk on it or write anything on it, but I'm reading daily and what they're going through. And there's a lot of people here, they see Dave and I, and yes, they see that we're doing okay, but it's a struggle. It is a journey. There are people that have daily problems that they speak about, and all I do is shake my head and I pray for them. I hope they're okay. But these sites ask people for advice. That's kind of what Dave provided us, or provides us in the hospital. It's personal advice of what he went through to let us know, okay, yeah, rely on your team. Just hearing a little bit of what you know is important to share. So now I get to do the same thing as what Dave, maybe on a smaller scale, but there's a purpose to us going through this, and now we need to share that, as Dave says, pay it forward. So this is my turn to pay it forward, being involved with the Donate Life Legacy. But there are so many people out there, as we're going through statistics, that need someone to give them a pat on the back, or a hug, or some advice.
Right. No, that's true.
I think I was telling Ann a story yesterday. Somebody gave my card to a couple up in Portland, Maine. And I've been getting emails from this Yvonne lady for her. They gave her my card. I don't know who gave it to him, though, and she doesn't know who the people were.
That great.
Gave him my card, and I've been communicating with her quite. Her son got an LVAD up in Portland, Maine.
That's amazing.
Well, talk about your rocks, Dave.
Yeah, that started for COVID also. When Laura and we did our last auditorium, we did the Columbia Greene County College. It was in March of 2020. Then I was just stuck. I couldn't no longer go out and spread the word on organ donation awareness. So I come up with painting rocks. I started spray painting rocks, different colors, and painting the Donate Life logo on them. And I looked up all kinds of sayings online, like, waiting for the weekend. Try waiting for a life-saving organ. Or one donor can save 8 lives.
Wow.
Or help change the ending of someone's story.
I love it.
Or, like, I'm 100% living proof organ donation works. And I just started writing this. I always write, be kind and be a hero on the bottom sides of the rock. And on the back of it, I write, please post on Donate Life rock painting. And I just leave them on benches and trailheads and walls, wherever I go. Right now I've created over 2,050 rocks myself in 4 years.
That I will love.
Tell them about the expansion. Right. Where have you heard that you found these rocks?
We're in over 25 countries now, and we've covered all 50 states.
Amazing.
Everywhere.
I want to find one.
I should have brought one today. I made memory rocks for Laura sent me to the Rose Parade to represent Donate Life.
Oh my gosh.
Center for Donation and Transplant. So I got to ride the float in the parade.
I love it.
And I got to hold my donor's picture. But I made them all memory rocks with a picture of the float on it and the Donate Life logo. And I gave them to all the people that, helped me get there. I actually gave them all bottles of white Zinfandel, 2 little bottles of wine. with my national picture on it, with my picture on the bottles of wine.
This is so great.
It was
delicious. So the rock group now, I'm up to 7,200 people I just hit in the rock group.
I just joined this morning. I joined.
Wow.
So I need to find a rock here somewhere. I know I'm going to find it. I know it's going to be here. Because I have to tell you, this is no coincidence. I did a podcast recording with someone last night. One of my friends, she has a very colorful life. One of the things she does is she does kindness rocks. She puts them out in front of her house. She lives in Boston. And she just makes them up, puts all different quotes and stuff. And the same idea of like spreading kindness. So I love the connection of this. There's no coincidence that 2 days in a row we're talking about these wonderful rocks and just putting it out there. You know, kindness is so underrated, I always say, you know, how important it is.
The donor families are really taken to this past year. You know, you're seeing a lot of rocks that they're putting them in a plastic bag. They put a note in there with the person's story on it and they leave them there. They'll put like Forever 22 or Forever 35.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's interesting. When I was a kid, I had a pet rock.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
So it's interesting that this rock, it's a friendly thing. It's very welcoming.
Mm-hmm.
This is fantastic.
It is wonderful.
I gave you one, didn't I?
You did. You gave me 3. Just in case
I need
someone
one.
took one off my bed.
All right. If I come to the walk in person, Dave, I would like a little care package, please.
Yeah. Lip balm, honey, the rock, the wine.
I do have right now. I got like 15 or 20 gallons of red Zinfandel. It's been sitting there 2 years.
It's mine, not the whole thing.
We'll be right there. We'll be right there. And get some gas. Let's go.
Motivation.
I do have to bottle it, though. I do got to break it down.
You got time.
Okay.
You got time.
Balm, I already have. I got that in the refrigerator. Did I give you lip balm too, Lorenzo?
No, you have not. So I would like a little care package.
You should give that to the hospital because when you're in the hospital, that's a big thing. You need the chapstick. You need the lip balm.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's true. That's true.
You know what the biggest thing that got me through my journey was?
What?
I loaded 900 songs on my phone with my headphones. I wore headphones every night, all day, to cut out all the beeping and the buzzing and the noises. And
interesting.
Rachel Platten's Fight Song. That came out in August of 15. I played that twice a day, every morning and every night in my room.
Oh, music.
I always wonder what people do to pass the time. And a lot of people listen to music. Of course, everybody thought I was listening to music. I was not. I only listen to motivational. It's when I work out. Even when I worked out before, like at the gym, it's motivational speakers. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know why. I'm a dork, I suppose.
No, I do that. I listen to too, but music as well. Though music is so, depending on where you are in your life, it changes whatever you're listening to. Yeah. You know, but
I always go back to the old school stuff, though. You know,
when you're in the hospital, they do their last vitals like at 11 o'clock. Then they come back in and they start their X-rays and stuff at 4:30.
Right.
So you got to put the headphones on because they come in all night to empty the trash, to change the linens. So if you don't put some, I don't recommend the earbuds. I want the head muffs. I want the noise canceling to cut everything out. And a lot of people do get them. I mean, it really does help. Even if you're listening to motivational or whatever you're listening to, but you do need that rest. And that's the only way to get it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, Ann, you're like me. We take overstimulation. I can have 3 things on and be totally fine. Yeah. So I can be working on a computer, listening to something else, and then watching at the same time and feel totally copacetic with it all.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
But there are some people, if you hear one bell, and believe me, there's a video of me hearing 12 bells, and it's 5 a.m, and they're about to wake me up. But I've already been up for hours. It's something
really
else.
Well, before we come to the end, anything that I didn't ask you that you wanted to share, or something on your mind that you wanted to say that we didn't say yet?
I can say, waking with my donor in my mind, and I volunteer to give others hope.
Oh, yes.
That's so nice. Don't make me cry.
That's the day I walked out of the hospital. That's on all my pictures and all my stories.
Wow.
Since the day I left there.
Oh, my gosh.
I decided I was never going to work again, and this is what I do.
Wow. This is wonderful. What a difference, really. What a difference you all make. I mean, together, separately, you just all make such a difference.
Jamal. Jamal also does interviews me. Jamal
Yes,
Green
yes.
does is doing a documentary on my journey, and we podcast or we Zoom weekly, and he also has the question of why are you doing this, and it's do you feel different, and people don't expect this answer. They think I'm living my life. I'm gonna go vacation to everywhere I want. I didn't go before. Or I'm gonna do a bungee jump, and that it's interesting. I just didn't even think about it, and it's you don't have to. You know how you think that things just roll off of you now. You just don't get mad at the silly things anymore. I don't bother about the silly things. It's who cares? Are you kidding? Uh, the trash is on the who cares?
Right.
We'll pick it up, clean it up. I don't have to validate myself about my life anymore. Like, why is it whenever I talked about myself I cry? I don't need anybody to pat me on the back or say good job, nice commercial, or oh my God, I see you on everything, or you're my favorite chef on YouTube. I love it, thank you, but it doesn't make who I am now. It's completely different. Now it's just like you feel very at peace. I know I do. I feel very calm. I feel so secure with myself. It's ridiculous. It's almost scary.
Nothing bothers me.
I think yeah. Well, it's because you know why? I have a buddy that's always with me, or maybe it's a woman, but someone is always with me, and that's how I feel. It's like someone's always got my back. It's a bit heart,
Right.
but life. The way I see life is completely different. Work. We talk about work. Well, I'll do different things. I don't have to be on 34,000 commercials anymore.
Right.
I'll do a nice independent movie where it's touching. I'll donate my time to organizations that have helped me. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So both I asked Dave and Laura if they wanted to close with a quote that I like to close with. And, I'm not going to use my signature question today because I think this whole episode answers my signature question of time in your life when you had to pivot or, to find intervention. I think we pretty much answered that today. But
just hit rewind.
Do you guys have a quote you wanted to share to close us out with?
I just gave you mine, too.
Say it again.
I wake up on my donor in my mind and I volunteer to give others hope.
I love that.
Don't sweat the small things in life. Don't let anything bother you. Just live every day as like it's your last,
I love that. And Lorenzo?
Laura, do you have your quote? I want to hear your quote before I have to say mine because I'm still thinking.
I didn't prepare one. I thought it was the
okay.
quote, so we decided to go with Dave's.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. We'll share that.
Yeah. So you don't have to, Lorenzo, if you don't.
No, I actually put it on my videos.
What?
It's get busy living. There's so many people out there that worry or put it off, or when they say they don't have time. When somebody says they don't have time, it's a completely different meaning to me now. You make time. Please make time.
I had heard with the same thing about living life. It's kind of on the same thing. I can't remember exactly how it was. Something like, don't get so busy. Because you know how we're so worried about making money. We all want to make money. Don't get me wrong. Of course, we need to make money. We can't live. But, don't be so busy making a living that you forget to make a life, and that.
Oh, I love that.
So important. Like it's so easy to lose sight.
And it's so true.
Yeah, there's so much noise in the world it's so easy.
I mean, I was on call 24 hours a day. I worked in the hospital for 3 months. And so when I crashed the second time is when I decided I was never working again.
Wow.
I was on call all the time. It's just like I should have never done this. And it'll never happen in my lifetime. I tell everybody, don't do that stuff. Don't do it.
And in organ donation, I mean, that's a big testament to what we do because we see numerous tragedies every day that aren't expected. And you don't want to have any regrets in life.
Right. Exactly.
Whatever that may be. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because you don't know when your time is.
Right. No, we don't,
A lot of people believe that that's only on TV. That's only in the
I have
news.
time.
That doesn't happen.
Whatever. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
And you might have time. You might be around till you're 100.
Sure.
But you don't know.
I hope
but
so.
Still,
I hope
live
so.
for the moment.
But there's that but, and I can attest to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You must get busy living.
Oh my gosh. I can't thank you enough, Dave, Laura, Lorenzo. Oh my gosh, you were just, this connection alone has just you made my day today and probably the rest. Carry you with me forever, and I'll probably see you. So Dave, get that care package ready.
Good. We'll get something together.
Times two.
Thank you.
Times two.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is so fun. Always love this podcast. And where can we find this podcast? And
we can find it anywhere you'd like. Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. And there's also timetoelevate.org has its own little website. Also Instagram. Find me all over. I'll post everything in the show notes for you guys. And when I do when this episode drops, I will tag you guys on wherever you're at, social media wise.
Okay.
Are you guys on Instagram as well or no?
Yes.
Okay. CD Gray. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll get all those links from you guys. And I know where to find you, Lorenzo.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Laura, for your time. It's wonderful. And thank you. I'm so looking forward to this, and I'm exercising away. Okay. I'm gonna be walked out. It might not run, but I'll race somebody in a walk.
Okay.
Life gets tough, and I know it's hard to cope with the unknown. For all of us, I know it'd be easy if we were perfect, but we're not. So we go to find our faith, to find our hope. It all begins with looking up. It all begins with you. It's time to